we're changing the name of the game to Creativerse, right?
Okay, guys. Sorry about the sound issues. Hopefully somebody will buy a Temple bundle kit and we'll be able to use that to buy better microphones or something. Yeah, sorry, that's embarrassing. But hi, welcome. It's exciting. It's an awesome day, and we're gonna launch today.
We are launching today.
How do you feel about that, Thor?
It's very exciting. The entire team is super excited. We're really happy that we get to get a larger audience in to play the game that we've all been enjoying for such a long time.
And I want to also give a shout out to the driver of this stream. I wouldn't blame the audio problems on him. Those are probably my fault. But say hello, Steven.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'll be running the computer over here. No, we are not putting audio into the store. It's going to be part of the free game. Don't worry about that. This was not a sign of things to come. So we're all excited to be here, and let's get rolling.
All right. So I figured for this stream, I think the servers have gone down at this point. I figured we would talk through. Most of the time we play the game and talk over it. I figured before we got into the game, we spend a little time just kind of talking about Creativerse because it is such a momentous day for us. It's such a milestone. It might be nice to look back at where we've come from and how far the game has come. So let's get nostalgic for a bit.
Absolutely.
Thor, take us back to what initially drew you to Creativerse.
You know, Creativerse is, it's part of the sandbox genre. It's a very creative game. We're being photobombed. Do we want to bring Nick in?
Come on in. We're gonna take a special break for a special guest star.
All right. Have a seat.
Oh, hello.
Introduce yourself.
Hi guys, it's Nick, artist Nick. How's it going?
Nick has a special hand thingy implement.
I do. It likes to push and pull blocks around.
Oh, wow.
Can
Can you push the pigsy? Oh my gosh! That is amazing technology.
Yep.
Art
Tech. Yeah. The creators.
There's something to that name. Nick spent all weekend building this masterpiece, and we just had to get it on the stream for you guys. So, the first prototype of... I feel like I've been touched by an angel.
For those of you guys who aren't familiar, Nick is the guy responsible for all the nice visual upgrades that we've gotten in the last couple of updates. Swords, mobs, gauntlets. So he likes to.
Plus, you built the Colossal Castle.
I did.
Colossal Castle.
I did design the Colossal Castle. Some of you guys have been playing with me, and some of the servers. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for crashing our stream. A lot of special guest stars this time. We should just get the whole team in here.
The whole team.
All right. Okay, so you're saying, what initially drew you to Creativerse?
I mean, so it's a really interesting project. It's had a long lifespan, but the sandbox genre has always been something that's just been a lot of fun. It empowers creativity. It's a really interesting problem set. As a designer to solve for. When you say, hey, the player can literally do anything, it's very hard to create a really seamless, streamlined gaming experience. And that's where, we do a lot of iteration on things like tutorials and systems that you guys are playing with to try and make sure that all that stuff works together and doesn't go off in crazy directions. But that's also part of the joy of it is that, we can put in something that we expect to be used in one way, and then you guys take it in a completely different direction, and that's such an interesting thing to see, and just makes the project every day is a surprise, right? So.
I think that's why early access is such a great fit for Creativerse because there's your guys' creativity with the sandbox tools just inspires us to, try new things. And it's like, oh, I didn't even think about, why don't we take the game in that direction?
Exactly.
The game has been, we've been working on it for a long time now, like over 4 years, would you say?
Yep, it's about I think 4 years and a couple months at this point. So.
It's come a long way. I think we have some old screenshots and assets. Let's just take a look at these bad boys.
Oh man.
Oh, poor Leafy.
Yep. So, little known fact about Creativerse is that when we first started developing it, there was this really promising startup console that was being created, known as the Ouya. Yeah, everybody owns one now.
Right,
but
full market penetration.
Full market penetration. So we wanted to get a sandbox game on the Ouya because it was going to be really exciting, and so we started out with super low poly assets. And this is the result. You can see that we carried the influence. On when we did our high res models, but then definitely that's Hotfoot. He got a full redesign.
Just like a little volcano.
Yeah,
or something.
Little volcano, and he would spit out fireballs, and it was.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So this is the Ouya version of what Creativerse would have looked like. I think we even have
pizza.
Pizza the Hut.
Yep.
I think we have a screenshot of the game. And I think this is maybe pulled from the editor. So
yeah, this was one of our first running prototypes. We had this little guy running around and still had a pickaxe. We still hadn't quite found our flavor yet. We were doing a lot of experiments, and as you can see, we've come a long way. That was, in fact, a real screenshot. Yes.
Should we look at the logo of what the game might have been called?
Yes.
So we have a bunch of logo concepts.
Mentioned this in the blog post last week.
You switch over, Steven?
But the game used to be called Thereafter. And literally right before leaving early access, we had a big team meeting, and we all came together and we sat next to a whiteboard, and we just wrote down words. We were like, okay, let's just come up with a brainstorming session of what this game could be called. What's this game about? And so it was like blocks, cubes, dig. Just wrote down tons of words, and then the ones that stuck out the biggest to us were things like creativity and. Sandbox, of course, and then a universe, right? And so we ended up taking, creativity and universe and combining them together because we wanted Creativerse to always be this, universe of creativity, right? And so that's.
If you want to get like all Tom Selleck used, what was almost Indiana Jones moment on us. Other names we were considering were Unearth. Dig It.
The very first the code name of the project is actually Buildverse. So and actually the original name of the company was Verse at the time, and so
it tied in.
Yeah, and so we were we really liked Verse, so we just continued that theme.
Yeah. Interesting thing about the early development is we didn't decide to do early access right away. In fact, we were in the first year. Pitching it to publishers. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we did when we pitched it was we made a trailer that we could show when we went and pitched it. And this trailer has never before seen the light of day outside of the studio and a few closed door meetings with publishers. Yep. This is the only chance you guys will have to see a trailer of the game that was going to be called Thereafter. Yeah. So,
and this was an early kind of, not necessarily pre-visualization, but it's really early on when we were trying to figure out, storyline, the themes, the emotions that we really wanted to call out. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it.
And I hope the sound works.
Hopefully the sound works, yes. Oh, man.
All right.
No audio.
Is there no audio? Oh man, I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. Audio's cool, but I guess it's just not going to happen. Yeah, more of a teaser than a trailer, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, we had a lot of inspiration from, you know, games that we were playing at the time, things like Journey. You know, obviously we really liked, we actually went kind of a more magic route at the time, and actually, you know, fun fact, in the data, we still call our gauntlets focus_stone, right? And so back in the day, they used to be these like emblem kind of runic things that you would equip to enhance your powers as opposed to upgrading technology. So, you know, we've come a long way. Like Calkins mentioned, we were taking this game around to publishers, and we actually had a lot of interest at the time, but we kind of made an important decision that, you know, we were trying to tackle free-to-play, we were trying to tackle the sandbox genre, and we really wanted to do it, you know, the way we wanted to tackle it, and we knew that in order to have full control, we needed to stay self-published, and you know, that's enabled us to do things like, you know, really take monetization slowly and make sure that we do it in a way that you guys like as well as we like, and it's really empowered us. So it's really cool.
Plus, it also led to the fact that like early access really has impacted the way the game has been developed. I mean,
Absolutely.
you guys, your feedback has been so invaluable to us in making the game what it is today. Which leads me to a question I wanted to ask you. What would you say some of your favorite moments of player feedback have been where they took the game in an unexpected direction?
I mean, there are a ton. I mean, from all the features that you guys have wanted, but I think my personal favorite is what we've come to lovingly call in-house what we call Googate. So, you know, there's a lot of recipes in the game. You know, now there's over 400, but you know, we had 300 some odd recipes in the game, and goo was my personal favorite crafting component. So of course it was used in everything. You know, it's just so much fun to craft out of goo. So on the forums, everybody's you know, posting, "Hey, what the heck? Not enough goo in the world." And so it was something that we definitely had to solve. But you know, again, the thing that's interesting with the Creativerse, I mean, with the sandbox genre, is that you know, we always strive for creative solutions to these kind of things. So instead of just, you know, upping the drop rate of goo from Leafy or something like that, you know, we did do that as well, but we wanted to give kind of a creative, you know, ooh, I discovered this kind of, you know, elite thing, and so we allowed mold to be processed into goo, which resolved a lot of the Googate issues. But it also created this kind of interesting interaction where you could take this resource that, you know, you might think is kind of useless, and then, you know, creatively use it to empower your crafting needs. And that actually, even though that's a small example of this, you know, it's carried on every time we try and solve a solution or solve a problem like that. Take, for example, logs, right? Wood logs that we just recently added the ability to use the plow on oak wood and turn it into the log. And you know, we always want to try and carry that kind of sentiment throughout all of our balance changes, gameplay implementation, and stuff like that. And that's, you know, a really interesting way that the community has been able to influence you know, some of the decisions that we've made, even on something as simple as balance.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite moments was we did a survey about a year and a half ago, just to find out, like, okay, what are some of like the most pressing things you guys would like to see in the game? And the two things that surfaced the most were character customization and then like some kind of automation or machines or circuitry. And so those are the very next things we did. We did a player customization option, and then we did wireless machines. So you know, it was at a moment where we had a bunch of stuff we wanted to do. We weren't quite sure what we wanted to tackle next, but you guys stepped up and kind of showed us the way, and we were more than happy to have you guys help prioritize that list for us.
Absolutely, we're always listening, and that's, you know, every day we're like, hey, should we work on this? And it's like, well, does the community want it? And you know, that really helps us drive our decisions. So
there was one question I had in here. Let's go ahead and do it. So a lot of people over the years have asked us about the story, the lore behind Creativerse, and we hint at that in torn journal pages and old data chips that you find in treasure chests. In the most recent blog post where you talked about the vision of the game, I think if you were reading between the lines, you kind of hinted at the fact that we would be not as interested in that story in favor of the fact that the stories you guys come up with are, way better than anything we could ever dream up. But it might be fun just, because we have all the fans here.
Yep.
Why don't we go ahead and why don't you give us like a summary of what that backstory was all about?
Sure. So, Creativerse's backstory is very fluid, and, we have a lot of different kind of internal visions, and every time we read another post from you guys about what you guys think is the real backstory, we're always like, oh, that's a really cool tidbit. So it's always fluid, but the kind of core concept of the story that is in the drop notes and the torn journal pages and the data chips is the story between kind of this lost creator and Pixie, his AI companion. And so, the idea is that he's been stranded on this planet and, in this weird universe where he has this technology and he's kind of discovering, in the same way that you're discovering, this new world. And he has his AI companion along with him, who's kind of like this sassy teenager kind of personality. And, they have their fun little slip-on banana peel moments. But the idea is that, in the end, he discovers Lumite and he builds a teleporter to try and escape to get to the next, to continue on his journey. And the consequence is that it pulls in other people. And so when he leaves, it pulls you in, and now you're there as well. But the idea is kind of that, one of the things that we've talked about is that this event might actually be this kind of splinter moment of the Creativerse. So there's this ArcTech creative technology that exists in this universe, and he's harnessed it and infused it with this really unstable material, and that it kind of creates this splintering of this kind of weird world. And now it's created an entire universe, a multiverse of creative potential, and now there's just tons and tons of people inside of this universe together, all empowering it with creativity and trying to figure out what's happening and discovering, the mystery of this world. But yeah, I mean, it's funny when we think about story. I mean, of course, we want to tell our own story. We're humans. We're storytellers by nature, and especially as designers, we always want to be able to tell a story in our gameplay. But something that we've seen is that, especially with something like adventures, you guys have just taken it in such an interesting direction. And there was this adventure I was playing the other day that was all about the Mirus are actually this alien race who are here to study about Arkstone, and there's just different ways that you guys can all take it in ways that we hadn't even anticipated. Even things like fan fiction in the forums, and everybody's speculating. Ooh, did you hear that sound in this update? Is that Pixie? Those moments are really exciting for us, and we think that the best thing we can do for Creativerse is to actually empower you guys to tell your own stories. So that might be, in your adventures, let's give you the ability to make drop notes, write your own story. You're doing this with signs and sensors already, but how can we continue to empower you guys to tell your own story? So.
Yeah. Awesome. Do you think Spectre will ever make a return?
Whew. Gosh, if you guys don't know Spectre, he was essentially our loving ode to the Creeper, and he was an interesting fellow.
So bad.
So the nice thing about a creature like Spectre is that it provides a kind of environmental danger. And so, it's one of the only things that would make you want to upgrade your dirt house to a stone house, because you need to protect yourself against him. So while I don't think we would necessarily add him back to our core game, because we definitely don't want to, there's nothing more frustrating than building your amazing thing and then having Spectre come in and blow it up. That's just super frustrating. But something like the creature spawner, the mob spawner, actually empowers us to give you guys the ability to spawn things that might not exist in the core game, but you guys can take advantage of in your adventures or your gameplay. So, you could see maybe somebody does really just want to spam you with explosive creatures and create an entire arena all about surviving a Spectre onslaught or a Spectre onslaught. But that's all possible now. So.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So we can look forward to having Spectre in the mob spawner
now,
in a future update.
Maybe. He probably would not look anything like his. He literally looked like a floating glob of goo with crazy googly eyes, so he would probably get a nice visual upgrade. But
he's in the world where the old Leafy existed, and he hasn't gotten any love.
Yep.
So let's look ahead a little bit. We've just talked about where the game's been, the long journey we've been on together as developers and players. Let's look ahead at the future because we are launching out of early access today, but we don't plan to slow down development. So you wrote a post. It was a little bit lengthy. If you had to sum up and give folks like a 10,000-foot view of where we want to go in the future, what would that look like?
So, I think the future of Creativerse is all about, allowing for custom gameplay from you guys. So whether this is adventures or, different world types or different world templates or different types of mobs, we want to empower as much of that as possible. And, with every tool that we add, you see it even when we add a block, you guys take it and you make 1,000 things out of the one thing that we've added. And so we just want to continue that multiplicative effect and really give you guys as much of that as possible. So
cool. So I know it's tricky to get specific with things from your post. Because we don't really know yet exactly how we will do some of these things. But if we could kind of tease out a few more concepts, specifically, how would you envision people going under the hood of the game and tinkering with the gameplay?
Yep. We kind of are talking about this internally as we create the content, or we create the tools and you guys create the content, right? So when we add something, let's take, for example, things we already have. So you have Miru, right? And you're like, you know what? I want a Miru creature, but now his name is Niramu, and he's actually a flame type. So, we're going to shift his color to be a little red. He's still going to have his base melee attack, but, I'm going to give it a 10% chance to light the player on fire every hit. And then instead of doing a flashbang, he does his charge up and unleashes a fire nova. Right? And you're like, wow, okay, so now I have this, interesting creature made from the various pieces that we have in the game. Right. And I take that and I put that in my adventure. I take that and I put that in my game type. We stray away from
world.
In your world, right?
Right.
One of the nice things about Creativerse is that it's already really data driven. Some of you guys have dug into the files and seen some of the data that's there. But everything, I could go into the game right now and break everything, but change it, completely head to toe pretty quickly. And so what we want to do is empower people with the same tools that we're using and give you guys the ability to customize the game to your liking. And then also the important part about that is that we empower you to share whatever that is. You're already seeing this with adventures. We want to make sure that, sharing your creations with the community is as seamless as possible. We stray away from the word mods just because it has such a weight to it, right? And it has baggage.
Right, it makes you think, oh, I have to be some hacker or coder to do this.
And that's not the case. I mean, we definitely want, in the same way that anybody can come into our game right now and make a house, we want anybody to be able to come into our game and make a mob. We want anybody to come into our game and make a recipe. And for people who don't want to do that, we also want to make sure that they have, it's extremely accessible for you guys to find that content. So, we don't want you to have to go and crack open the files and launch an external piece of software to have to download all of the files, and then you try and run the game and it's like, oh, this didn't work, and you're on the forums trying to figure out what you did wrong. We want you to be able to say, hey, you know what? This post-apocalyptic wasteland server looks pretty cool. It's got crazy zombie Mirus and different recipes and everything's guns, and you're just like, yep, that's what I'm going to play right now. And you click on it, and then that's it, right?
Sure. I think that's the same. Hello, Nick. The same would go for the word creative mode.
Yep.
That's another word that I guess maybe that could. The part of the essence of that word, that phrase, hints at what we want to do down the road, but it's probably not the same thing that people are used to.
Sure.
That kind of feature, right?
We creative mode has taken a lot of different paths based on various games. But we want creative mode or creative tools. We still want to empower you to create as fast as you can imagine. But we also want that creation to be fun and toy-like. So you might imagine, this is totally speculative, not, this is me brainstorming here, but you might imagine that, you're walking around the world and then you hit a key and all of a sudden you're in creator mode, right? And you're just like, you pop up to a world level view and you're flying around like some kind of crazy creation god, and you're lifting mountains from the ground and you're throwing down buildings, and you're modifying creatures, and in a more fun, it feels like you're playing a game while creating, and not just
not just like some
code, right?
Paint editor.
Exactly. Yeah, we want everything to be fun and playful and joyful. Even if it's a copy and paste, and you're like doing like a fun volume selection. Like it should feel magical and whimsical.
Right.
So.
The other cool thing we talked about is eventually adding some kind of marketplace where players can share in kind of the revenue sharing model, where players can be rewarded for their creativity and their hard work.
Yep.
How might that work? And I know this is all speculative at this point. Don't take anything we say as Bible, but this is just us brainstorming.
These are the exact conversations that we're having in the studio now as we try and figure this out. So of course, being able to open up to you guys, and get your input on it now is super valuable for us as well. This is a pretty common theme that's happening right now throughout the entire industry. You see it with games like Roblox. Even Minecraft has just added this to their new creation toolkit. But we want to. You kind of see this throughout the industry. Players are as much a part of the game creation process as the developers are. So whether you're contributing on the forums, or you're posting a review, or you're Twitch streaming, or you're a modder, you guys are driving as much of the development process as we are internally. And just as we should have food on our tables, you guys should as well. So while giving real money back is a much harder problem than just giving out coins, we think it's something worthwhile. So what you might see in the future is something like the ability to ask for a tip on your adventure, and then you get coins for people playing your adventure. They're like, yeah, I really like that, here's 10 coins or something like that. But in the future, it might be something like, hey, I've actually published this entire new game type, the post-apocalyptic server or whatever it is. And to make a world with it, 50 coins or something like that. And so you guys are actually, giving one another content and helping each other as a creative community to keep yourselves going. So we think that's a really powerful vision for the future of Creativerse too.
Right. And this is all still fairly long term. Don't
Absolutely.
expect this in the next 3 months,
Yeah.
but it is stuff we are excited to tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of stuff that people constantly ask us for that we didn't cover in the blog posts.
Mm-hmm.
So what about those things? Things like, and I'm seeing them up on the chat on screen, like ranged weapons or some kind of NPCs or boats or mounts.
Yep.
What about those? Are we not going to do those, or what's?
So, like I mentioned, I think that in order to really empower creativity, we have to have a wide tool set. And so, if you wanted to make a first-person shooter, or a Call of Duty type of game mode for our game, you're going to need guns. And so, while we'll have to pick and choose and prioritize which of those get in first, I think you can imagine a future where Creativerse, there's any type of experience that you want to create, that you want to experience is there. I think that this is another thing that I wanted to point out, is that whenever we give you guys a tool or we give you guys a new piece of content, we want to make sure that we're also using that to better our vanilla experience. So if we add a gun to the game or mounts, then then you could imagine seeing that in the core adventure game of Creativerse as it is now, and that we're using the same tools that you guys are using to empower our experience, and then you guys are taking those and making completely new, unexpected experiences with those pieces as well. So in short, you can expect to see those things.
So yeah, just because we didn't call it on the post, don't think that we are. Thor's getting an upgrade as we speak. Just because we didn't call them out in the blog post, that blog post is more of a 10,000 foot view. So still feel free to give us all of your crazy suggestions and ideas. Chances are it's stuff we've talked about as well and stuff we would like to do as well. Let's see. Okay, we've talked about the future. Let's talk about, as you are in makeup, let's talk about,
This is awkward.
let's talk about right now.
This is how Hollywood does it. Say that again.
Let's talk about right now.
Yes,
We did a balance pass last week.
we did.
We got a lot of feedback about that balance pass.
Yep.
And I think you guys have already reacted to that feedback. Do you want to talk about that?
So like we mentioned, we're always listening to you guys on the forums. We're always looking at this feedback and trying to make rapid changes. So in this next update, you guys will see that we have added a gauntlet to my hand. that we have actually increased the output of the super extractors to 3.5 times their return. So that essentially just equates to a +2 return on every node. Just to counteract the return on investment there for the super extractor, but still keep the progression of extractor crafting feeling kind of like a ramp up linear, feel better in terms of crafting components. But we've also just to kind of reduce the downtime, we've reduced the slab processing for iron slabs by 10 seconds. So now it only takes 20 seconds to process those. So it should be faster, and more convenient to craft super extractors, and they give you a little bit more, but it still keeps the curve that we were looking for in terms of difficulty there. So
Cool. And now I think anything you say, we have to actually implement in the game. You have now the authority with the gauntlet
I do have the authority with the
to
gauntlet.
make changes.
So
you can go to the roadmap and go.
I already had a hammer, but now I've got a gauntlet, and I'm going to walk around all day with this gauntlet and my hammer in hand and make sure that everything gets done.
Yes. In fact, I think we're going to have a separate stream later today because we're not actually flipping the switch after the stream. We're going to flip the switch in a few hours.
Yep.
We will be back live streaming then, and we may have to involve this piece of hardware.
Oh, we're definitely going to have to involve this. This is
Yeah.
really amazing. Great job, Nate.
So we kind of saved the best for last. We have some surprises that we've been teasing. We haven't really given you any details about those surprises. And with all the sound issues we've been having, I am going to be providing the drum roll rather than OBS. So, drum roll.
Here it comes.
What do we got?
Corner blocks! Yes!
Yeah!
Finally! Corner blocks! Oh, hammer! Corner blocks!
You guys have been asking for corner blocks forever, and we have been wanting to do corner blocks forever. We finally did them.
We finally did them.
So I think Steven, tell us if there's sound, because
This is the best day in Creativerse history. We agree. We agree, sir.
yes. So Steven here is going to be showing us what is involved in making corner blocks.
Yep.
That's right. Let's see.
He is loading up with a whole bunch of good stuff.
No game sound, they're saying, that's expected. So
Right. We turned that down. Tell us if that fixes that.
all right. I'm assuming y'all can hear our voices, and so y'all will be listening to me now. We'll talk about this a little bit. We have corner blocks for crafted roof blocks and crafted stair blocks, and so, for example, a block like medieval stairs, we have corner variants. What that means is that if you are building a roof, I'm going to show you a final product first. This is the small traditional house blueprint. Fly up to the roof so I can kind of show it off. When there are places where different angles of roof blocks meet each other, it always kind of used to look awkward, and you had to use a square, and you had a cube block, or you had to kind of get creative. But if you're looking, this looks pretty seamless. And this is kind of a complicated roof too, and it just works. I'm using some, if you look at the tag above my stamina bar there, medieval roof inner corner blocks.
Steven, the game sound is too loud compared to your voice chat. Are you using Yeti on your scene? Do you want me to get this closer?
Yeah, it should be on Yeti.
Okay.
Okay, and I turned down the game volume low. So let's try that. Sorry about that, you guys. We are full of sound issues today. So what we're talking about is that if you look, this is a pretty complex kind of conjunction of 3 different roof angles here, but you crank out some of these inner corners and it just works. And so you can, I modified this blueprint. This one usually had asphalt blocks up here, and I swapped them out with roof tiles and was able to get all those corners to meet. And so the way it works is, let's go, I've got a bank of processors over here. You take one of your roof or stair blocks, you plunk it into the processor, and that's how you get your corner version. So I want some diamond stair outer corners. And we got them. Or I want Lumite roof inner corners. You queue them up, and we got them. This is going to really enable some kind of interesting creativity. So let's see. I want to finish these 2 masterpiece houses that I got started here. I've got a little haunted house with some haunted roof, and a little holiday house, because I'm here in the tundra biome, with a wafer gingerbread roof. So let me crank out some corners for that, and we're going to finish up those roofs. It's going to look pretty amazing. So we need outer corners, probably 8, I think. I'll grab some extra ones just in case.
Always be prepared.
Yep. And the other one was the haunted roof. This guy. I'm going to grab those.
This was something we actually talked about a lot internally, was how we wanted to handle roof corners. You know, we talked about, do we do it automatically for you guys? But then as we were playing with the blocks and we saw the crazy shapes that you could make out of it not happening automatically, we decided to go ahead and give you guys full control over that, so you'd be able to make crazy things like flowers and blossoms and things that you wouldn't imagine them being used for.
And to the person who said these been in the game forever and we saved it for launch, that is true if you consider forever last Monday, because that's when they got added to the game.
And they were only partially done, actually. So
oh yeah, we still have a little bit of work.
We still had a little bit of work to do, crafting, description, and some collision problems. So
right, but they secretly were in the game at R41, and I think on our sneak preview servers they had been
playing with those for
a couple weeks.
Yep.
All right, look at that.
Boom.
That is a beautiful roof. So let's finish up this gingerbread house too. We need the inner corner, outer corner. Oh no! I have to use some rotation here. Beautiful.
Nothing like a Necco wafer roof.
Yeah.
Makes me hungry every time I see it.
Do you have a thing for Necco wafers?
No, they're disgusting.
The views of Thor do not reflect the views of Playful Corp or its subsidiaries.
They're like the redheaded stepchild of candy. Ooh, that's probably offensive to redheads. Huh?
Yeah,
that's one of those
and
things.
I have a red beard, so I'm offended.
Oh man, Thor, will you ever be able to forgive me?
All right, I forgive you.
All right. So my
AFK getting some Necco wafers.
So this is just the most basic, most simple, not at all impressive version of what you can do with these corners. I mean, if you look at the shapes that you get, for example, from let's go craft some stair inner and outer corners, and then you factor in block rotation and all these different variations of stairs. I can't even fathom what the community is going to begin to start to do with these. All right, so.
Yeah, we're very excited to see what you guys do with this stuff. Unfortunately, the Colossal Castle, you'll have to go manually add corners. We may at some point update that, but I think you guys are going to do I know you're going to do really amazing things with these. I can't wait to hop in a world and see the result of this.
Yep.
So thank you for pushing us to do this.
Yep. You know, one of the best things is when you look at a creation that was made out of blocks and you're like, oh wow, I lost the blocks. I don't know I don't know where the grid falls on this. And that's one of the things that's really nice about about things like corner blocks and prefabs, is that you get a chance to lose the grid.
Yes.
Yes, and of course, all of these blocks are fully rotatable, so you guys will be able to take them and make crazy pinwheels and some fountains and all sorts of crazy things. Yes, look at that.
Nice.
Or even just nice, pretty archways, right?
Or just some modern art, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty gorgeous what I've accomplished here.
That is modern art at its finest.
Yes. And to the people still asking about when the servers will come back up, please hurry. I want to play. Nobody in this room has anything to do with the deploy. All the engineers are out there working really hard on it right now. It typically takes about an hour. We think this morning it might take an hour and a half. So we're just gonna, we're kind of taking our time, but don't give that the impression that they're not up there hurrying.
Yep.
To get the game back up and running for you. So if I had to guess, I would say we're maybe 45 minutes away at this point. Maybe still an hour, maybe less.
Yep.
And then you guys will be in there doing awesome things with corners.
Yep.
And not just corners.
There's one other thing that we have. This is something that some astute community members kind of noticed in some posters or some screenshots that we were making. But we added a new decorative container. So we know how much you guys like shelves and the Mayan altars. You like to be able to put items and food on those. So we've added a new one called the placemat. And so you'll see this nice wicker cabinet or wicker, mat thing that Brainsloth has on his table here. And of course, just like shelves, you can add items to that. So look at how beautiful that is. Beautiful. Now, the real special thing about this is you'll notice this arrangement piece up at the top. So you'll click that arrow, and then magically the wicker visual is gone. Now, this is pretty awesome. So that means that any of the tables that you guys have, you guys will be able to put, food items, anything you want on it. You can put, you can have a spread of food on the grass. It's going to really empower you guys to make interesting combinations of things. So this is, while we'll still have unique decorative containers in the future, things like baker shelves and, an oven or something like that. This gives you guys the ability to, in the short term, put whatever you guys want on anything, essentially. So these are really great. We think that this will add a lot of variety to some of the things that you guys have been making, and then also empower you guys to do things like put food on tables, which is something we know you've wanted for a long time. So
I just wish you could put mobs
on a table, little
Because
tiny.
think how cute a tiny pigsy on a table would be.
Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah. We should.
Yeah, we should do that.
We should.
Yes.
So there you have it, folks. Corner blocks and the placemat.
Yes.
That's our surprises.
Yep.
And today is our launch day.
Yep.
Let me see. Let me see if I'm gonna look at my secret list of questions here. There was one question that I had for you, Thor.
Yep.
Would you rather fight 100 Twiggy-sized things or a thing-sized Twiggy?
Personally, I'm a pacifist, so it doesn't matter what is attacking me. I'm a pacifist. pass a fist, and it doesn't matter what's attacking me, I'm just going to hug it. So, you know, I'd like to face off against both a thing-sized Twiggy and 1,000 Twiggy-sized things and just give them all a hug, you know, because that's all the thing really wants. That's all the Twiggy really wants. So, you know, next time you guys are spelunking down in the corrupted layer and you see a thing, don't swing your sword at it. Walk up to it and give you a hug and embrace his sweet, sweet, magnificent, multi-armed hug. So.
Not only both, but leaning into it with vulnerability and kindness.
I mean, if you're
making the world a better place.
Yep.
I like it.
Yep.
I like it. That's why you are the game director for Creativerse, because you're a softie at heart. So, guys, I think we are gonna call this stream. As I said, the engineers are still hard at work on the deploy. So that will be back up soon. And then later today, we will do a very short stream where we push the button and make Creativerse an officially launched game.
Yep.
So check back with us then. Steven, do you want to add anything?
I will only say, where am I?
Driver.
There we go. I will only say that myself and, of course, the full team, we are extremely excited about today. Not only to get y'all in the game and playing with these new toys that we created for y'all, but also for launch and all the new exciting stuff that that's going to bring. And so we really can't wait, and we'll see you in the game.
Yep. Yep.
All right, guys. Have a good one. And as soon as the game gets online, get in there and get creative.
Yep.
See ya.
Wait!
Oh, go ahead. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.